I would argue that there are two significant things for us to hold fast as a community. The first one is that we, like Abraham and Sarah, like the people in community in the letter to the Hebrews, are working to hold fast to promises. Promises for us as individuals and as community. And also, we are working to diligently step forward. And both of those things are important and must be held in tension together. For you see, there are those people who are really good at holding on to the promises or the traditions. We've always done it this way. The promises right there. Remember back then. In the Bible it says this and this and this. That's the way it should be forever and ever. Remember back in the 1950s when Calvary had 2,200 members and we did it this way? Well, maybe that was a good thing. The reality is, things continue to change. Life continues to unfold. And so while we hold fast to the stories, the richness, and the promises that have been passed down through the generations, we know that we are also called to step out in new ways. To be part of this unfolding realm of God. And for us, what does that mean and what does that look like as we step forward? For you see, there are also those who are really good at doing new things. We can sit in a room and brainstorm for hours of the hundreds of possibilities for us to do. We can imagine all of the great things, and we can go boldly forward. But what happens when we are unattached to the history that has preceded us? What happens when we miss out on that sense of promise that has been passed down from generation to generation, from community to community? It can be easy then to start flittering about, unsure of direction or next steps. So together we hold them in tension and hold them as a place in which we will dwell. I invite you to think for a moment about the promises that are significant for you. When you think about faith, living faith, hoping for things that are not seen, what are the promises that are there for you that have echoed throughout the generation? Perhaps it is a story of redemption, of overcoming past challenges. Perhaps it is a story of grace, of being told you are a beloved child, loved by God, and allowing that to wash over you. Perhaps it is knowing that there are promises that you are living that you may never see to fruition, but that will be made real by the children that will come after us, or grandchildren, or great-grandchildren. Those become part of the story. The promises that we live. And then we begin to think about how we are going to live them out moving forward. Recognizing we're not always going to be perfect. That's one of the blessings and the incredible things about hearing the story of Abraham and Sarah, is that while they are models of faith, they are imperfect and allow us to move forward in faith, recognizing we're not perfect, and we're not always going to get it right. But what will it mean for us to step out? To say and to hear those words of, have no fear, for God has promised you the kingdom, the realm. It becomes both a place of hope and a place of challenge. And we begin to think about what it means now. I would like us to take one moment to turn to a few people next to you, and perhaps you are newer here, but to take just a moment to name a couple of things. The first is a promise that you experience of God calling you or living in your life. What is a promise for you? For Abraham and Sarah, it was land, descendants, a new life. What is the promise for you? And then to think about if we are to live this promise in our lives as individuals and community, what might that look like today? So take a moment. Turn to the people next to you now. And I know this can be a little uncomfortable, but take a moment to reflect on what is a promise you hold out and a vision for moving forward. So we will take just a couple of moments, and we'll begin. Now, I know some of you could probably go on much longer, but I'm wondering if any of you have particular promises that you hold out that you are willing to share with the larger congregation. Any promises to be shared? Silence. Yes?
In our row, we talked a lot about community.
The promise of being in community. Okay? The promise of marriage and living that out. Okay? Children. So the care for children or promise of children. Okay? Forgiveness and grace. Promises. Great. Okay. So the power of the Spirit. Prayer. Great. Thank you. And are there ways that you see yourselves living these promises out? The ways that we might step forward? So ongoing support, looking to Scripture as inspiration, as hope in daily living. Is there another one over here? Okay. So teaching, training, lifting up our children, the next generation. Okay. And for each of us to live a Spirit-filled life. Okay, great. As we live into the coming days and weeks and we continue our visioning process and living this out, I invite us to look to all of those who have been forebearers in our faith and to look at the promises that have echoed throughout the generations and ring true for us today, and then to move forward imperfectly, but moving forward wonderfully into this realm, this kingdom of God. Thanks be this day and always. Amen.